Hello everyone. I just wanted to go over a couple things here with you. Um, I wanted to talk about some points in the Tolentino reading that um, by no means exhausts the lists of things that are interesting or that you can talk about, but hopefully in talking we'll just give you kind of a sense of the type of thing you want to be thinking about while you're reading, okay? That'll help you greatly when you go to write. An essay or one of the other things. And so the other thing I wanted to do, we're looking at right now, I just wanted to go over the textual analysis exercise with you. So that's kind of your first big-ish thing that you have to do, right? First writing assignment. It's due, the rough draft is due Tuesday. Okay, that information is on the Canvas site. So as you see, the rough draft, 500 to 700 words, that's like a page and a half, single-spaced, okay? But, just focus on writing something good. Don't sit there counting every word. I know that's tempting. I used to do that too, but, just try to produce something good. So anyway, it's the format is, you're given the reading, always be optimizing. And then there are passages down here that you have to respond to. So let's just go over the instructions. So once you've finished reading, carefully reread the passages produced below. Take notes as you do so, asking yourself the following questions in particular. What question or problem is this passage exploring? Why did the author include it? What are its key terms, its themes, its examples? What broader implications might the ideas contained in the passage have for the text as a whole? Okay, so those are good things to think about anytime you're reading anything for this class. So this is kind of practice for that. And once you do that, produce at least 2 substantive paragraphs of at least 250 words each. Each paragraph should consider and quote from one of the selected passages, analyzing the ideas you encountered while avoiding summary. Okay, so analysis and not summary. Summary is boring, right? You're just telling us what happened, and we already know that if we read the paper ourselves. Okay. To focus your writing, begin by choosing one key term you think matters and incorporate it into your topic sentence. So every paragraph begins with a topic sentence where you establish why you are, what is the point of this little bit of writing, this paragraph that you're going to do. All right. So for always be optimizing, optimize or some form of that word is a choice. Feminism, capitalism, self-improvement, etc. But you can take nearly any idea that explores and explains into a key term through emphasizing it. So don't be afraid to be creative, okay? All right. And so really that's all there is to it. You just read the passages. This is some tips, the format here, something that'll help you with close reading, okay? What you should do and what you should not do. So any questions on that, just let me know. And just to be clear, you're producing one paragraph for each passage, okay? Each paragraph, I'm sorry, at least 2 paragraphs for each passage. And so so you have 2, and the total of the 2 is 500 to 700. Okay, they're not 500 to 700 each. They add up to that. Okay. So anyway, any questions about that? Feel free to just email me. So now I will move on to Tolentino. Okay, there were some things I was going to talk about that will just show you, the kinds of things that came to my mind when I was reading, and hopefully will help you get a better sense of the kind of things you want to watch out for while you're reading yourself. So let's scroll down here, page 66. Okay, so She says, figuring out how to get better at being a woman is a ridiculous and often amoral project, a subset of the larger, equally ridiculous, equally amoral project of learning to get better at life under accelerated capitalism. In these pursuits, most pleasures end up being traps, and every public-facing demand escalates in perpetuity. Satisfaction remains, under the terms of the system, necessarily out of reach. Okay, so this is an important moment in the paper, right? She's talking directly about optimization. She doesn't say optimization explicitly in this first paragraph, but that's what she's talking about, right? Um, and so you want to pay attention for kind of turning points like that where they really address what they're getting at, okay? And then further along, she gets into this story of Sweetgreen and the chopped salad, okay? I won't rehash that in detail because you will have read it for yourself. But this is kind of a good exercise in putting things in context. So you're reading this paper about, you start reading it and you're like, okay, it's about feminism, it's about capitalism, it's about something to do with society, and then you get here and you're thinking, well, wait a minute, why the heck is she's talking about salad? Like, what the hell's going on? And so it's important to remember that, authors don't just put stuff in here in their essays all, just for no reason, right? This is very connected to her ideas, even though it's about salad, but in a way that makes her argument stronger because she's showing that it's connected to these sort of disparate things, right? So you want to look for a connection, even if it's not overtly stated, right? And so you might ask yourself, well, what does eating a salad quickly have to do with optimization? How are those things related? And if we look up here at the top of page 67, she says, the ideal chopped salad customer is himself efficient. He needs to eat his $12 salad in 10 minutes because he needs the extra time. So she's talking about efficiency and optimization, right? Even though she doesn't invoke that term specifically. And then if we go down to the bottom of page 68, she says, and this is another sort of, where she's swinging in, right? She's making her point. It's very easy, under conditions of artificial but continually escalating obligation, to find yourself organizing your life around practices you find ridiculous and possibly indefensible. Women have known this intimately for a long time. Okay, so this comes at the end of the salad story because it's an example of these artificial and continually escalating obligations. You're just doing these things because it almost feels like you get funneled into doing them because of the society you live in. You have to always be rushing around and can't waste time. So yes, I need to be able to eat a salad with one hand while I'm emailing with my other hand. And this kind of thing happens not just with food, but with everyone, but especially with women. And she details in her paper all the ways that happens. Okay, so that's one section. It's a very idea-rich section, so certainly take a look at it closely. It's the kind of part of the essay where you might want to, if it's relevant to your argument, you would probably quote something from there, right, in your paper. So yeah, and there were some other things I wanted to touch on, so let's scroll down to 79. Let's scroll very slowly here. So here's another sort of interesting point she makes. She says, feminism has faithfully adhered to this idea of beauty as goodness, if often in very convoluted ways. Part of what brought Jezebel into the center of online feminist discourse was its outcry against Photoshop use in ads and on magazine covers, which on one hand instantly exposed the artificiality and dishonesty of the contemporary beauty standard, and on the other showed enough of a powerful, lingering desire for real beauty that it cleared space for ever-heightened expectations. Okay, so let's unpack that. She's saying that while it's good that we've moved away from these sort of airbrushed, unrealistic, sort of overly photoshopped images, that doesn't mean that we've abandoned expectations, right? They've just sort of shifted. So now instead of being overly photoshopped, overly make-upped, um, it's there's sort of this push to be like almost like a painfully austere, painfully natural kind of beauty, which is not necessarily any less attainable than the other standards that existed before. I mean, if it relies on natural beauty, then it might even be. You could argue it's more difficult because you can't if you can't put makeup on, then all you have is the face you were born with. So if that's not up to some kind of standard, then you're out of luck, right? And so that's a point that she makes in multiple places throughout the paper. Is just okay. Things maybe they've gotten better, yes, but we've improved sideways, if that makes sense, more than up. It's not that we've cast off these kinds of requirements. It's just that they have found new ways to manifest in society today. Okay? So we're still caught up in these traps and escalating obligations. So that was something I found interesting. This, again, is an idea-rich section of the text you could pay attention to and recruit in your own argument. Okay? So hopefully that kind of thing, my kind of explanation there has shown you the ways in which you should think about the passages that you're reading, right? Pay attention to what point is she making? Why are these paragraphs here? Well, she's trying to make an argument, and the paper will make more sense if you're aware of what that is. So yeah, read analytically, I guess, is the takeaway. There was another spot down on page 89. Okay. So here she's talking about exercise, the bar classes, and she says, I felt acutely conscious of being in the company of other women who had, like me, thrown their lot in with this pursuit of frictionlessness. We all made, or were trying to make, enough money to afford this expensive class, which would give us the strength and discipline that would ensure that we would be able to afford this expensive class again. We were embracing, with some facsimile of pleasure, our era of performances and endless work. I know you want to stop, the instructor chirped. That's why it's so important to keep going. Okay. So this passage really speaks to, the fact that all this optimization, these acts of optimization, they're very deliberate, they're very conscious, right? It's like, getting on a bus or whatever and going to a studio and sitting down and wearing the clothes and the mat. That's a very deliberate series of actions that you have to undertake. But at the same time that's happening, there's a sense in which you feel like it's kind of out of your control. This term, thrown their lot in with this pursuit of frictionlessness. So they're kind of chasing an ideal that they don't necessarily feel like they have any control over, even though the things they do in pursuit of that control are very overt, right? And so the theme of kind of control and lack of control is peppered throughout the paper. And it's good to make connections like that, right? So once again, kind of idea-rich section of the text. Good place to look for ideas and things to support your own argument when you respond to the prompt. I'm referring more to the analytic essays than the first thing that you're assigned, because in the first thing here, the textual analysis exercise, obviously I provide the quote for you, but in the essays, this kind of thinking will be very useful. One more point. Don't want this to get over long. Right, so in 93 down here, she makes the argument that technology has made us less oppositional. Where beauty is concerned, we have deployed technology not only to meet the demands of the system, but to actually expand these demands. So you might think, well, technology, okay, it's supposed to help us interact with the world in a better way. It's supposed to free us, social media, we can share ideas and thoughts, and it's very hard for authoritarian whoever's to stop it from happening, right? But as far as beauty goes, it's sort of like it's made more ways that we can sort of constrain ourselves and oppress ourselves, right? And we play into it, right, by being on certain platforms. And so, yeah, I mean, that's uh, you, the sort of behavior of optimization. It actually gets worse because of what technology lets us do, right? So that's kind of the broad point she makes here. So anyway, that was all I had. Um, Obviously, there are many, many, many more interesting spots that you can look at and pick apart and analyze in the text, and I hope that you will. I think you should. I'm just trying to give you a bit of a sense of what it's like to read, to really just to read these essays with. You want to keep in the back of your mind, okay, I need to write about this, so I have to pay attention and sort of analyze the things that she's saying in a way that I normally wouldn't if I was just reading something for fun, right? Okay, so I hope that was helpful. I'll stop this here, and once again, if you have any questions, just send me an email. I'll try to get back to you quickly. Okay, have a good day.